Have you ever played a game where the story was exactly what you needed to hear? You ever had a game that brought you to tears and made you yell out in excitement? Well, I have, and I want to talk about it. Hello, true believers. I am Fasa the Silver Chimera, and finally, it's time. It is time to don the spandex supersuit and swing around New York City. I cannot begin to explain how excited I am for this game. I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but screw it, I'll say it again. I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero of all time. So naturally, I loved Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. They were both amazing games that I've played multiple times. Insomniac did a wonderful job representing a character that I hold so near and dear to my heart. And you're telling me that for the sequel, they're doing the black suit and Venom? Oh, be still my cold, dead heart. Ever since the announcement trailer for this game way back in the day, I've been pumped. I love the black suit. I think it's one of Spider-Man's best costumes. And I love Venom. I mean, look at him. The teeth, the tentacles.
The muscles.
He's a great character. And spoilers, I think this might be one of my favorite versions of the big toothy bastard. I'm going to be honest. This is my game of the year. It's not perfect. You know, nothing is. But Insomniac made something special here. So get your web shooters ready, pick out your favorite costume, and fight more bad guys than you can shake a web at. Let's do this.
Balance is a process.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep a cage, but I can't control it. So stay away from me. The beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching all the walls, the closet in the halls. Here comes the wake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head. Why won't somebody come and save me from this? Make it end. It's hiding in the dark. It's either is or stop. There's no escaping me. What's my soul? What's my heart? No one can hear me scream. Maybe it's just a dream. Maybe it's inside of me. Stop missing monster. I feel it deep within. It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I ain't what I become. The nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I'm really deep within. It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I gotta lose control. It's something out of call. I must confess that I feel like a monster. 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 I feel like a monster.
The game begins with a flashback of Harry Osborn before he goes into the tank filled with the green goo and the symbiote. Harry tells his father Norman that if this doesn't work, let him out so he can say goodbye. And then Norman gets a little possessive.
I will never let you go.
Ominous. In the present day, Peter is late for his first day as a high school teacher.
I'm here.
As Mr. Parker starts his lecture about, I don't know, something nerdy. I zoned out like I did in real high school. I think it was something to do about surface tension, which now that I think about it is kind of funny because now in the game, if you go fast enough, you can scream across water. I don't know. I feel like that was kind of a little nod to that. Miles notices an unusual amount of sand coming into the room.
Bathroom?
So Miles excuses himself to the little spider's room. Peter continues teaching, but something is not right. More sand pours in, and the sounds of sirens can be heard in the distance.
be calculated. Can anybody... I need your help. Mr. Morales, is it? Are you sure this isn't something you can handle yourself? I'm sure. Marco, why today? I'm so getting fired.
Since Sandman woke up this morning and shows violence, our heroes suit up and swing into the action. As we head towards this angry son of a beach, Pete and Miles shoot the shit about what's going on in their lives.
Principal Evans already hates me for being late this morning.
Bro, I told you to be on time.
It's fine. We'll be back before we know it.
Good, because I had my college application review with the school counselor.
Oh, you finished your essay?
Haven't started.
Oh.
The city of New York this time around feels so alive. It's brighter and bustling with traffic and helicopters. It feels new and improved, and it's a treat to look at. MJ calls and tells our heroes that Sandy was seen walking around yelling nonsense, and the really bad news is that JJ is back in charge of the Daily Bugle. God help us all.
Look out! You okay?
Yeah, but I think we found him.
So with Sandman approaching biblical levels of destruction, Peter hurls some debris at him and then kicks him in the nose.
Oh, crap. Still angry after all these years, Marco? You should try yoga.
It wasn't very effective.
Must be more of a Pilates guy.
Peter starts running for his life, and we're treated to a little set piece of Pete doing some parkour and saving a guy as Sandman continues his tirade.
Spider-Man! Think you can sign for this delivery? It's coming in hot! I'm there!
Pete airdrops this guy off to Miles, then takes a hit from Sandman, knocking him into a room full of little sand people.
Mini Marcos? I wish I could do that.
During the fight, the principal calls and chews out Pete.
Mr. Parker,
I'm sorry, who's this?
Principal Evans.
Of course, Principal
All
F.
students have evacuated their classrooms. Where are you? Mr. Parker!
I just forgot something in my car.
What was that?
Nothing. I'm just.
The Waldos are back and are now integrated into Pete's gameplay beautifully. I think they let him stay in league with Miles since, he has the awesome electricity powers. The fight with the mini-me's continues until Sandman grabs a hold of Pete and they have a little one-on-one.
Sandman,
I always hated that name.
I know you're angry at me.
This has nothing to do with you. Leave me alone!
I want to help you. But it's gonna hurt first.
And that is why Sandman has always scared me. I think a lot of people don't realize he's very powerful. And the fact that he can just pull you into a sandy grave like that always horrified me as a kid.
Guess he wasn't happy to reconnect. It's not really the nostalgic type.
Miles and Pete come up with a plan by using a mix of water and the Zappy Zaps for Miles. Our heroes can start doing some real damage to Sandman.
Bang! Spider-Man, watch out! No, 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 no! Okay, I'm working on it.
And so this moment has become kind of a meme, saying that throw was racially motivated because Sandman did not throw Peter that hard. And don't get me wrong, that's hilarious and I love it, but it got me thinking, why did Sandman throw Miles so much harder? And I think the answer is Miles is doing significant damage to him. Just food for thought. Tell me what you think.
Give him today's forecast, Spider-Man.
100% chance of rain. Got it right where we want him.
Dude, this game is so dope. Our heroes head to the biggest water tower in the area in hopes of using it to stop Sandman. After being chased up the side of a building, Sandman swats our heroes down a couple of floors. Miles fights his way back up to the top using his electric powers to crystallize the mini sand dudes. When our heroes get back to the top of the water tower, Sandman tries to eat Miles, but the dynamic spider duo pours 10,000 gallons down his gullet.
Did we do it?
This kind of works for like a second until Sandman becomes a little sand tornado and flings Peter into the air.
Break out the new toy!
Not to worry though, because the Spider-Man have some tricks up their sleeves. Well, under their sleeves to be exact. And these spiders can fly, people!
They're flying! But we're not out of this yet!
I was so excited to see the web wings added in this game. I love when Spider-Man has them. I've always thought they looked really cool, and using them to glide in the game is so much fun. So Pete has to glide to Sandman while dodging debris.
Wanna know?
Pete comes up with a plan. If Miles gets struck by lightning, Pete can channel that energy to bring down Sandman. What follows is one of the coolest looking set pieces I've seen in a while. The camera work is amazing and the action is sublime.
Good.
Oh my god, this game is amazing. That was some final battle end of the series shit, and the game just got started.
I have sand everywhere.
After the fight, our spider-themed heroes talk to Sandman, and he gives them a warning.
If you need help, all you have to do is ask.
You're the ones who are gonna need help when they come for you.
Come for us.
Ominous. So what kind of threat looming in the distance is so great that Sandman had to throw a hissy fit that wrecked half of New York?
A fate you will not share.
A very large man with a hunting fetish, unreasonable amounts of money, and way too much time on his hands. You know, it kind of sounds like the real world if you ask me.
I asked for an equal. And this is what you find.
So after Craven gets his rocks off, the iPad guy shows up and suggests that Craven and the good old boy should head to New York and start breaking people, places, and things. Why? Because fuck 'em. That's why. This is Craven's world and we're just living in it.
Light the fires. The great hunt begins.
Back over in New York, the Webheads help out with the relief effort. They set up some drones, stop some petty crimes, and save some people. Personally, I loved this section. It reminded me of my first ever comic book, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 36. It's the issue where Spider-Man and a bunch of other Marvel characters help out in the aftermath of 9/11. I vividly remember so many panels showing Spidey help people, and this part of the game was an interesting little glimpse into seeing the aftermath of all the crazy superhero action. And it serves as an example that Peter and Miles don't just pack it up after the bad guys get put in cuffs. I thought it was interesting. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below.
Hey guys, my app is still down. I No, trying to innovate here. Give me a minute. I'll call you back. Yes. You think he's mad at me?
Stress masquerades as anger sometimes. Just keep looking for people to help.
No, you sound like you're angry.
I'm not angry, Miles. Just focused.
That's what my mom always says when she's angry.
Come on. You've known me for a long time. When have you ever seen me angry?
I'm thinking.
It was a rhetorical question.
Got it. That one time we were playing a board game at your place and you kept losing.
I wasn't angry at you. I was angry at the universe.
That's interesting. Should probably keep that in mind. After our heroes help out as much as they can, Miles saves J. Jonah Jameson from his limo, and that goes as well as expected.
What? Where am I? Spider-Man!
Jonah, my sunshine. You okay?
Help! I've been abducted!
What? No, I'm helping you, man.
Come and get a photo with us! Mass criminals kidnap beloved newsman!
Some things never change. Just be nice to the doctors.
Once they drop off JJ, Peter gets a call from the principal.
I did not consent! Menaces. I'm surrounded by menaces! But J. Jonah Jameson is not going anywhere, you hear me? I'm not going anywhere! Wait, where am I going? Where am I going?
Mr. Parker, where are you?
Principal Evans. Hi. Yes, this is me, Peter Parker. I'm sorry. There was an emergency, and I'll be there soon, I promise.
I better see you in 10 seconds or...
Oh, no. All right, you're breaking up. Well, soon. I can't believe I just did that.
Our spandex-clad heroes head back to school. Miles catches up with Haley and Genki, and they talk to Miles about college stuff, scholarships, and things like that. Unfortunately, Miles is feeling a little bit left out. Over yonder with Peter, things are not any better.
Principal Evans.
Yeah. Guess who decided to show up today?
I know this looks terrible.
Looks?
And I'm so sorry.
It's more than looks.
No, I know.
This is
And this is the last thing that I wanted to happen, and it'll never happen again.
I've had enough of this.
No, look.
No more excuses. Your job is to protect these students, not to abandon them. You're fired.
Yeah, I don't think teaching was a good idea, Pete. After the tongue lashing, Pete gets a call from MJ, and I enjoy how awkward Peter is because he doesn't know how to tell MJ he got fired yet.
Quite a first day for you. Hopefully tomorrow will be quieter.
I am sure it will be. See you in a bit. It's worse than getting fired. Telling your girlfriend that you got fired.
Seriously, kudos to Yuri Lowenthal. He does an amazing performance in this game. So, Peter, Benjamin, Tennyson, Uchiha meets MJ at Aunt May's house. When they meet up, our lovely couple share a kiss and talk to each other about their days. Pete tells MJ he got fired, and MJ replies with the fact that her job is also in jeopardy. They head inside and do boring adult stuff like mortgages and cleaning, and MJ finds some old photos. Pete picks one up and examines it.
Balance. What does that mean?
Our hero heads upstairs and finds the hole in the wall from the picture. We get a flashback where a young Peter is talking with Aunt May. It's a great little scene giving us a peek into the early years of Spider-Man, and it has a very important line.
Balance is a process, not a destination.
Make sure to keep that in mind for later. MJ gets a tip that the raft is moving some prisoners, so she heads out to do her Lois Lane stuff.
MJ!
Harry's back. You can really feel the chemistry between everyone here. As they hug and catch up for a bit, Harry explains that the disease he had is in remission. MJ has to go to work, so everyone agrees to meet up at Coney Island later to celebrate. Harry breaks out a pair of bicycles and the boys go on a ride together to reconnect. Harry leads them back to their old stomping grounds at Midtown High. Harry jimmies the door and we're sent back in time to the night a young Harry and Peter snuck in to find a thumb drive. The boys sneak around to avoid a janitor and the most persistent security guard on the planet. This guy takes his job way too seriously. Our boys get separated and Peter runs out of web fluid.
I gotta get better at fluid management.
You know, I had a similar problem in high school. The key is you gotta stay hydrated. Anyway, Pete crawls around ducking and dodging the night guard until he gets to the photo lab. And then he mixes up some new web fluid.
Okay. Now mix this up just right.
And you gotta love comic book stories because you're telling me no one accidentally found the fluid webbed up to the table like that? Well, I guess they showed he has to mix it to make it work. So, I guess it doesn't matter. Who knows at this point? With Peter rehydrated and ready to spray his webs everywhere, he sneaks out of the photo lab. Peter bumps into Harry, and then we flash forward to the present. The boys take a moment and shoot some hoops. And this part was kind of neat because you got to use the motion controls. And not to brag, but my aunt was a Harlem Globetrotter, so I think I'm well equipped for this little mini game.
Well,
Money. After the game, we flash back to the young boys again. They continue to sneak around and try to get to Peter's locker, but the damn security guard will not let up. Dude, just go take a nap in your office. It's not that serious. When the boys get to the locker, we jump to the present again. Harry has left Pete a little something. Before Pete can open it, a security guard shows up and the boys dip. Back in the past, the boys make it to the gym, but the security guard catches up and says he's called the police. Harry says he has an idea and makes a break for it. So Peter jumps up to the rafters and sneaks around, distracting the police and sneaking the thumb drive from the security guard.
What's that?
now how am I supposed to get out of here?
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling.
Damn it!
Gotta
You're in the
make
office!
you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Okay, gotta go.
Classic. The boys get away and head outside. As they do, Norman shows up in a helicopter and delivers the bad news.
It's your mother.
Unfortunately, this was the night that Harry's mother died. Back in the present, Harry and Peter sit on the bleachers, and the present was an ID badge for the Emily May Foundation.
Pete, we're gonna heal the world.
Oh, that's so sweet. Something terrible is about to happen, isn't it?
Prepare for the transfer tomorrow. And do not fail again.
Hey, look, it's me trying to write the script for this video instead of playing the game.
Hey, Miles, you busy? I need...
Whatever it is, I'm down.
But before Miles can go do spider stuff, Rio and Miles have a chat. Apparently, Rio is putting herself back out there and dating again. She explains that she would like for her boyfriend to come over and meet Miles. Our young hero tells his mom that he'll be there. And I'm sure this will have no serious impact on the series moving forward. Over at the raft, Miles and Peter get ready for the prisoner transfer.
Keep it moving, Gargan.
God, Scorpion is such a dick. The surprise guest to this transfer is Mr. Negative himself, and Miles is not okay with it.
Miles. It's fine. I'll be okay.
You can feel how angry Miles is in this scene. Kudos to Najee Jeter's performance. Peter calms Miles down and something strange starts to happen.
A little early for fireworks.
Our heroes hop on the boat just as shit starts to get real.
Make sure the prisoners are secure.
Anyway, Peter starts punching people in the face until he gets attacked by some robot birds. Craven's goons keep the pressure up against the Spider Bros. Over yonder, several jeeps harpoon the side of the boat and attempt to reel it in. Peter tries to rip the harpoons out, and Miles goes inside to save anyone who might be trapped inside. Miles finds someone stuck in a room as the water rises. He can't get the door open, so he does the usual crawl around and punch something with his zappy powers. Once he gets the door open, surprise! It was Scorpion all along, you fools! Although he did sound like someone entirely different. Can Scorpion change his voice or something?
Please? No, Chowder.
Pretty please.
What the?
Miles and Scorpion have a little scuffle where our hero gets tagged by the Green Meanie. Due to the poison, Miles starts tripping balls. Hard. Craven's goons show up and see Scorpion scuttle away, and Miles has to deal with his drug trip underwater. Which sounds like a nightmare if you ask me. As Miles tries to avoid a watery grave, he's tortured by hallucinations created by his subconscious.
A superhero.
And I thought this was a fun nod to the Scorpion section of the first game, and it's a good peek into what's eating at Miles on the inside. Once our young Spider finds a way out of Davy Jones' locker, he stumbles upon somebody.
Spider-Man.
Lee.
And I love this scene. I know this might seem strange to some of you, but it's a very human interaction. Miles is hesitant, and I think all of us would be. Maybe he thought about letting him die. Maybe he just wanted him to suffer for a little bit. Or maybe he was just stunned being this close to the man whose action caused the death of his father. Who knows? But in the end, Miles is a hero and chooses to do the right thing.
Not like this.
Or at least tries before his powers start freaking out. More of Kraven's goons show up and steal away Mr. Negative, which is not good. But on the bright side, there's a bunch of test dummies for Miles to try his new chain lightning ability on. After some face punching, Miles chases after the chopper with Mr. Negative's cell and manages to stop it, until it smacks into something, causing it to crash into the ship, which makes the ship drift towards civilians. So that's great. Next thing you know, a very large Caucasian man with way too much money and a gun shows up and sets the water on fire. You know, art really does imitate life. The fire starts to spread, which is bad, but Miles saves some people by supercharging a boat. Which is good. Some of the robot birds try to fly away with Mr. Negative's cell, which is also bad, but Miles rips their wings off with his bare hands and beats them to an oily pulp. Which is good. But then the big boat's propeller starts to wreck the pier and Kraven's goons stop Miles from securing it, which is very not good. Mr. Negative breaks out of his cell as the pier continues to collapse. Peter swings in and starts to save people, which is pretty good. Miles stews in his rage for a moment. Kraven shows up and tries to take Mr. Negative, but Miles and him play tug of war for a while. Peter is slowly losing control of the situation, but Miles lets go and saves the day by punching the shit out of the boat. So, you know, overall, you gotta take the good and the bad, right? After today's little adventure, our heroes meet up and talk about the crazy shit that just went down. Miles explains to Pete that his powers are starting to act weird. Well, weirder.
Pete, when I saw Lee inside that ship, my powers, they... You think his energy got entangled with yours? I don't know, man. But it feels volatile.
To clear his mind, Miles swings around a bit and ends up meeting with his uncle who's out on parole now. Aaron asks Miles to check some of his old stashes so he can get some of his Prowler tech off the streets. Miles and his uncle have a heart-to-heart where Aaron tries to give the young hero some advice.
But sometimes you gotta push the past away so you can make room for the future.
But Miles isn't going to listen because he's young, dumb, and full of rage. Back over with Pete, he swings by Harry's new startup, the Emily May Foundation. And this place is packed to the gills with all the bells and whistles. Norman spared no expense, apparently. And, speaking of the devil...
Peter Parker! So, what do you think? It's a far cry from that chop shop that Otto had you in.
Kind of a dick thing to say, Norman.
Dad, Pete hasn't decided he's joining yet.
Oh. Really?
I love Norman's face here. He's like, okay, bitch, stay broke then.
All right. You know, seeing you boys together again. Right then. Have fun.
You know, it's interesting to see Norman soften up a bit and show a bit of his emotional side. It's nice to know that he's not a dick. Well, not entirely a dick. So Harry shows Pete around and talks about the plans for the future. During the tour, Pete controls some robotic bees that shoot lasers.
Little drones are essentially bee bodyguards that were trained to detect and attack bee wolves.
AKA... Do a barrel roll.
He runs into Dr. Kirk Connors, aka the Lizard.
Your doctor is the lizard. Dad believes in second chances.
Harry shows Pete their office, and Pete is a bit hesitant to make the jump from rags to riches, which, I get. It's all kind of a lot right now. Harry hits Pete with the feels, and the power of their bromance is just too strong, so Pete decides to join up. And look how happy the old webhead looks. Man, something horrible is coming, isn't it? Back out in the city, Miles tells Pete that he and Genki have a possible lead on the whereabouts of Scorpion and Mr. Negative. So Pete goes to check it out. When he gets to the spot, he finds some of Craven's goons behind some cloaking tech. Pete breaks some people's jaws and goes on a citywide chase with one of those bird drone thingies. It leads to another one of those invisible clubhouses. Some people get their faces rearranged, and the bird drone takes Spidey for a ride.
Come on! Not buy a ticket for this ride!
So Pete heads over to this dilapidated building crawling with Craven's goons. Classic bad guy hideout. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Spidey sneaks around sticking people to ceilings and walls, spider stuff. Along the way, we get one of my favorite additions to the game. It's called the web line. It lets you set up your own pathways and stealth sections, and I find it so fun to lay my own web, as it were, for stealth takedowns. Pete works his way through the hideout with a mix of stealth and all-out face punching. Spidey finds himself in a room with a bunch of science stuff, and this is where you get a taste of Craven's character. He likes to research and prepare for his prey, which, on a personal note, I've always found hilarious. Because he's always on some bullshit like, I am the greatest hunter. I want to find an equal to test my limits, prove my strength. Now let me buy this extremely rare and expensive flower to counteract your poison. Let me study your blood to figure out how your powers work. Let me surprise attack you randomly. I don't know. If you ask me, Craven's kind of a punk ass. What was I talking about? Oh, right. After some sneaking, face punching, and a little altercation with a pack of robot panther dogs, Spidey finds one of Craven's computers and digs up a video revealing what happened to Scorpion. Apparently, Craven's in the snuff films. Also, I'd like to recant my previous statement about Craven being a punk ass. He seems like a reasonable and fair man whose upcoming movie will surely smash all kinds of box office records. Moving on. Back over to Miles, we catch him trying to work on his college essay, but the fact that Mr. Negative is still out and about is bugging him. Mama Bear shows up and tells Miles to get ready because this is the night he's supposed to meet her new boy toy, but Peter hits up Miles because Black Cat is in danger, and he needs Miles to check up on her. Pete would do it himself, but anytime he's around Black Cat, he starts thinking with the old web shooter, which is understandable. So Miles shows up to Black Cat's last location, and we get to play detective for a bit, giving off some Batman Arkham vibes, and we love those. You scan some stuff, look around, and solve some puzzles. Don't judge me. Miles finds a picture of Paris in a book mentioning the Wand of Watum. So as a longtime comic book fan, my eyebrows raised because shit's about to get crazy. Once Miles catches up to the cat at the house of a certain Stephen Strange, she decides to open up a magical portal.
Little spider wants to play, huh?
Miles just web her to the building. So Cat gets away and shit gets crazy. Miles gives chase, but Cat keeps opening up portals and causing all kinds of mayhem. It is really cool to see Insomniac put that Ratchet and Clank tech to good use, though.
Steal your own mystical artifact.
Cold. Didn't even bring my scarf.
She really almost stranded that boy in the Arctic. So Cat crashes a helicopter at the zoo and Miles catches up and scolds her for being selfish, which is fair. Cat gets all in her fee-fees and explains to the young spider that her girlfriend is in Paris and she's in trouble. And I'm not surprised. Felicia's always been more of a cat person, if you know what I mean. Craven's goons show up and it's face-punching time.
How are you a dog?
More of a cat person, and these aren't dogs.
See, I told you. This was a fun fight, and it's elevated by the team takedowns between Miles and Black Cat. It's also really cool to see the exaggerated swagger of a 20-something white woman with no sense of responsibility.
Was not clear.
You seem to be getting better at it.
Not better enough.
After the fight, Cat and Miles use the wand together to open up a portal to Paris. Cat leaves the magic stick with Miles and says goodbye.
Au revoir, Felicia.
Damn, Miles knows French? Our young hero tries to find Mr. Negative, but the wand disappears because Wong needed it back. This game is crazy, and I love it. So Miles heads over to Coney Island to blow off some steam. He meets up with Genki, and they decide to check out Mysterio's new attraction since the fishbowl-wearing supervillain is reformed and trying to walk the straight and narrow. So Mysterio and his ladies plug Miles into the Matrix, and we get a fun minigame of Miles being a DJ. And this time the music is actually good, unlike that trash-ass beat from Miles Morales. Anyway, Miles is having a good time, so something bad has to happen. Something with the machine breaks and Miles has to fight his demons. And I mean literally. Once Miles finishes fighting his trauma, he's ejected from the simulation. Mysterio checks on Miles to make sure he's okay, and unfortunately, now he's got to shut the attraction down. Pete and the gang show up and shake hands with Miles and Genki. Everybody chops it up for a bit until MJ's ready to get the party started. Miles dips out because he's had one hell of a day. You know, with the whole confirmation of magic, then having to go toe-to-toe with his own insecurities. The kid needs to go home and get some sleep. MJ, Harry, and Pete enjoy the night out and walk around. Catch up, play some minigames, and even ride some rides. Made all the more fun and immersive through the power of the PlayStation 5. PlayStation. During this night of fun and merriment, the gang sees Tombstone save a guy in the go-kart track, and Harry sends a bell into low orbit. So we're just not going to talk about that? Okay, moving on. MJ and Pete share a touching moment on the Ferris wheel. She comments on how genuinely happy Peter seems. The old webhead feels like he's getting a second chance at life. MJ gets a text, and unfortunately things are not going well at her job. But Pete and MJ talk, and they have each other's backs. And who knows? Maybe things can work out. I mean, it won't, obviously, but it's nice to dream. So Craven's goons show up and start wrecking the place looking for Tombstone. Pete punches some people in the teeth trying to protect Tombstone, but the hunters are relentless. They eventually hit the big guy with a bunch of nets and then crash a Jeep into one of the bigger attractions, knocking it over into the roller coaster. Spidey saves people the way a spider do, but things continue to spiral out of control. Are we sure Spider-Man doesn't kill people? Is that confirmed? Shit starts hitting the fan with Spidey trying to save a gaggle of innocent people from a raging inferno. One of Craven's cronies tries to take a pop shot, but MJ ain't having that shit tonight. You go, girl. The hunters get away with Tombstone and things are not looking good with Spidey.
I'm sorry!
Harry? Pete? Go! Hang on!
Was that?
Yeah.
So Harry and Pete end up saving the day and having a heart-to-heart about superpowers and stuff.
Just think about all the stuff we could do to heal the world.
Harry, you gotta lock that down, bud. Pete and Harry head back to the lab again to test out the black suit.
Whoops.
Maybe don't do this in your office? So the boys end up fucking around all night, and in the morning, Norman shows up, and the boys are kind of in trouble. I don't know why, it's not like Norman can afford to fix all this stuff. Pete leaves this awkward moment at his earliest convenience and heads out to find Tombstone. The webhead finds another hideout crawling with hunters. He kicks some people in the spleen and finds a way inside. After some stealth takedowns and some face cracking, Harry shows up looking like Agent Venom, which is badass. The boys team up to open up a can of whoop ass on the hunters.
Honestly, I kind of hope to start you off with something.
And so this random asshole shoots a rocket at our boys, knocking them through a wall. And then they land on a conveyor belt and the alarm starts fucking with Harry's suit. Pete gets them both out of there in the nick of time because, you know, plot.
Starting to feel out of my depth here. Sure we can do this? Of course. We're the Spider Pals. All right. Yeah.
Holy shit, did you see how big that door was? Hunters pin our boys down and they need to come up with a plan fast.
Whoa! There's our guy. What's the plan?
I think we should get him.
Our hero smacks some dudes in their shit and Harry metaphorically jumps in the pit. Once he gets on the other side of the bars, he has a PTSD moment. And this gets a rise out of the suit, giving him enough strength to break out. And this serves as an interesting peek into Harry's mind and to see the scars that he carries due to his time in the tank. Although I find it funny that he needed a rage boost to get past these bars, since a moment ago he kicked down that big ass door no problem. Not a big deal though, plot has to plot. So our boys in Tombstone skedaddle out of there with the quickness. On the outside, Spidey makes sure that Tombstone has somewhere safe to lay low. Harry and Pete swing away and try to dap it up.
What are you... Hold on.
Harry, lock it down, bud. Back over with Miles, he stops by his mother's office and they catch up for a bit and have a heart-to-heart. Somebody calls up Rio and Miles asks if he can help. The following mission is something music exhibit, something people stole some famous instruments. Something jazz and hip hop are related, do it for the culture. Anyway, back over with Pete, the boys are looking for Dr. Connors. MJ calls Pete and she's whispering because she's in the back of one of the hunters' vans. I get that she's helping and that she's an investigative journalist, but why are you in the van? She drops her phone and the hunters drive off. Once they get to their destination, MJ hops up and drops the guards with little to no effort. So this is an MJ stealth section, but this ain't like the last time. Oh, nay. Insomniac said, fuck that. You're not playing Spider-Man's girlfriend. You're playing Full Metal Jacket Watson. So MJ sneaks around the zoo of your nightmares and finds a rather morbid confirmation on the fate of Vulture. Oh, you killed an old man with cancer. Wow, you are so tough, Kraven. You don't think you heard me say that, do you? MJ finds Connor's phone and is able to contact Harry before it dies. She hears a noise outside and sees the hunters toss Connors into a cage. MJ finds a passcode and some keys by sneaking around and zapping people. And then she tries to free Connors, but Kraven just appears like a fucking ghost. MJ tries to fight back, but Kraven couldn't give less of a fuck and tosses her to the side and beelines it to Connors. He grabs him by the back of the head and injects him with some kind of glowing green sludge that turns him into the lizard. Peter and Harry show up, and then Kraven orders the goons to get the party started by setting everything on fire. It seems like a bit overkill to me, but hey, live your life, I guess. MJ escorts Dr. Connors to a place that has some anti-lizard juice while the Spider Pals clear the way with some good old-fashioned violence. The Doctor and MJ get the juice, but Kraven says no with a spear and then takes the serum. At this point, the lizard starts looking extra lizardy and Spider-Man jumps in to help. He does not help. Harry loses his cool and Kraven sets his sight on a new target and chucks Pete through a window. The big man starts throwing hands with Harry and MJ goes to help Peter. The webhead is in really bad shape and MJ is trying to keep him talking as they move to safety. Now, I love this scene because it's very emotional, but it's really funny because in the background, you can see Harry giving the business to Kraven, which is cathartic because Kraven needed his ass whipped at this point, if you ask me. Out of all the ways Peter has received the black suit, this one's up there in my opinion. Most of the time he just kind of gets it, right? Steps on it or finds it in some way. But I like that in this scenario, he has to get the suit to survive. It gave me mixed emotions. On one hand, I'm relieved that Peter's okay, right? But on the other, I know what's coming next. The anger, the hurtful words, the damage that he's about to do to all of his friends and loved ones. And I told you something bad was about to happen, didn't I? Armed with the black suit, Peter goes on an absolute rampage. I'm not saying he's out there killing people, but I can almost guarantee they wish they were dead. After Pete mops the floor with everyone, he heads out to meet up with Harry and MJ. As he leaves, Kraven tells this jobber lady to track the lizard, and you can tell that he's got the hots for the black gooey stuff. Back at the lab, MJ and Pete try to help Harry. Pete tries to give the homie the suit back, but the goo has a new man now and there's no going back. Harry states that the only person who could do anything with the black suit is Dr. Connors, but unfortunately he has a bad case of reptile right now, and the only way to cure him is that vial around Craven's neck. Peter heads out into the city and bumps into a shopkeep and learns that shit's about to go down tonight.
I thought I left this behind in Volgograd. The flames have been lit. This is his jungle now.
Craven?
Cravenov.
So Peter swings around, thrashing some bonfires that the hunters are throwing, and after some face kicking, Peter makes his way to some kind of fancy shindig. The webhead didn't bring the right suit for tonight's festivities. Luckily, the black suit works for any occasion.
Whoa, I'm a spy. A spider spy.
Pete sneaks into the party and someone tells him to go deliver food for Craven's bodyguard, which is a very oxymoronic sentence when you think about it. Like, Craven, of all people, doesn't need a bodyguard. Once he's out and about at the party, Peter runs into a couple of assholes being assholes that grab this SOB and use him for a test dummy. Pete thinks about helping but hesitates, so the suit just takes care of it because it's cool like that. Serves you right, dick. Pete keeps looking for Dima and eventually finds her. She's a tiger. And she's adorable. So in order to take care of the overgrown house cat, Spidey needs to grab her steak dinner and that sleeping dart from earlier. In short, Spidey roofies a tiger. That was a crazy ass sentence. Anyway, once the jungle cat passes out, the webhead snoops around and learns some stuff. Like Craven takes crazy potion steroids and is really old and looking for an honorable death. So at the end of the day, he's just a large white man with way too much money and free time who's running from his own mortality. Art imitates life, I tells ya. A big-ass dude walks in on Spidey and the pussycat, and it's as awkward as you'd imagine.
It's not what it looks like?
So the wall crawler beats the hell out of everyone at the party. On the way out, some really dumb guy tries to sneak up on him.
That was fun. That wasn't me. You should ice that.
Yeah, I bet he's regretting that decision right about now. So Pete continues his search for the Craven in the rain, because this is a black suit story and everything looks cooler because it's in the rain. Chef's kiss, Insomniac. Mwah. While Spidey is swinging in the rain, he gets sideswiped by a human bus. So it's time for a boss fight. Pete makes his way to a church to confront Craven. And like I said, this is a black suit story, so you gotta have a church with a giant bell, right? Again, chef's kiss, Insomniac. Mwah. Craven and Spidey tussle for a bit, and Craven does that thing where the villain starts talking all cryptically, you know? The hunter notices the black suit's weakness and uses it to piss the thing off. Peter dips back to the lab, but the vial has a tracker on it, which is going to be a problem very soon, I'm sure. Once Pete gets back to Harry, they get to work trying to finish the anti-lizard juice. They get it close, but they need to use the particle accelerator to put the finishing touches on it. Harry tries to turn it on, but something on the inside makes a noise that sounds kind of expensive. So Pete decides to hop inside to take a look.
Relax and be a good proton. Huh? Stay positive.
I am taking that joke, and none of you can stop me. Also, I think Peter crawling into the accelerator is a bad idea. But on the other hand, maybe it will explode, and he'll get even more superpowers. He'll be the fastest spider alive. So Pete gets to work crawling around inside and doing a bunch of sciencey stuff. Once things are fixed, the webhead heads out of the machine and things start to burst into flames, which I'm sure bodes well for this endeavor. Once the boys take care of all the fires, Craven's goons show up and start breaking shit, which is just a dick move, man. This stuff looks really expensive. Harry continues the shutdown process, and Peter starts to get overrun because the accelerator's alarm starts to go off. Spidey keeps beating people's asses until he runs into a large shirtless bear. And not in the fun way.
I'm fresh out of honey.
Once the webhead puts the bear down for a nap, more hunters show up and blow the roof off of the place.
Terrific.
A helicopter crashes, more hunters show up, Pete punches everybody in the dick, Harry finishes the serum, and the boys swing to safety. Norman shows up to check on his son and to salvage what he can. Pete takes the serum and sets out to find the lizard. Peter swings over to Dr. Connor's place to see if the big green meanie is home. Pete does some looking around and finds out that Connors was home, but he left in a hurry because he's getting big. Like, way bigger than he ever should be. So that's fun. The hunters pull up and try to get the drop on the lizard, but they get Peter instead.
You have no idea.
And he is not in the mood for any of that shit today. The webhead hears what the hunters are planning over the radio and realizes he can't make it in time. So he calls Miles, who's in the middle of a lovely walk with Haley. Dick move, Pete. Miles agrees to help and heads out to find the lizard. When Miles shows up where the shit's about to go down, he goes into stealth mode. For like 2 seconds because I'm playing and I want to knock people's teeth in. Miles webs up one of those bird drones and Genki takes control of it. So Miles does the spider act of crawling in tight spaces and has a run-in with Lizard's tail. This whole section has some serious tension, and I dig it. So Genki and Miles meet back up and find the remains of Lizard's shed skin. Ugh, gross. Pete bursts in and hands Genki a vial of Connor's blood. For science. The lizard bursts to the ground and the Spider-Man give chase. We're treated to an epic set piece where both of our heroes are racing against the hunters to catch the lizard. And this part is full of pulse-pounding moments, like Miles using Genki as a jet ski. Whoa! So our heroes team up and take down the gunship with a good old alley-oop.
1, 2, 3, alley!
I love that Genki yelled even though he isn't even there. So the lizard gets away, but Miles tells Pete there's a tracker on him. So Peter heads out to get him a new pair of shoes. Pete heads into the sewer and calls Harry to tell him that he's almost got the lizard. Harry is starting to look like hell, so Pete should probably get a move on it. The webhead happens upon one of Connor's underground secret labs and runs into a rock with a spiral pattern, which is a pretty big deal. If you know, you know. But trust me, we'll get there in due time. So the lizard knocks Peter into next week, and it's time for a boss battle. Pete tries multiple times to stick the lizard with the juice, but Scaly Boy is not making it easy due to his ferocity and sheer size. Not to mention that his roar can actually disrupt the black suit. So the lizard makes a break for it and starts his rampage by wrecking a T-Rex at a museum.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
So the good doctor starts absolutely going berserk across New York City, and Pete is starting to lose his patience, and his words are becoming more harsh, which is a cool way to show the suit slowly corrupting him. The hunters show up to make things worse and shoot some cables into the lizard's back. Pete tries to stick Connors again, but his skin is too thick and the needle gets stuck, and our hero has to chase Connors up the side of a building to get it back. This is turning out to be one hell of a day. Once they get to the top of the building, Craven shows up, because of course he does. He starts shooting Lizard with some seriously strong explosive crossbow bolts. This sends Connors tumbling down with Spidey right behind him. The two of them crash back down into the sewers, and Peter is looking a little worse for wear. Well, he was. The lizard shows up, grows his tail back, and it's time to finish this. Round 2 is hectic, and Peter starts saying some wild shit.
No wonder your family left you.
Peter eventually overpowers the lizard and then jabs him in the mouth to turn him back to normal. The wall crawler takes the doctor back to the lab with the rock from earlier. When he wakes up, he grabs the rock, and the black suit has a very physical reaction. And then we get a flashback to see how it got here. Back in the day, it crashed down to Earth, and the first people to find it were Norman and Dr. Connors. Unfortunately, the doc got too close and they had to shoot his arm off to save him. And I thought that was actually a pretty cool way to explain a classic part of the lizard's character in this universe. Back in the present day, Connors explains that the black suit is actually an alien life form, and the fact that it chose Peter proves that it's more dangerous than he originally expected, and it needs to be destroyed.
Destroy us?
I love that this is the first instance of the symbiote plural noun doublespeak thing that it does. It's really subtle, but it's very frightening. So Pete pulls a Dark Knight and just vanishes. The web slinger heads home and MJ calls and tells our hero that she finished her story and she wants him to read it. But the moment Pete touches the bed, he's ready to turn in for the night. He's so tired that the symbiote tucks him in. Aw, that's kind of sweet. Something awful is about to happen, isn't it? Man, this neighborhood is going downhill fast. So hunters are quickly closing in and Pete is nowhere to be found. MJ has to sneak around giving the NyQuil to any hunter she's come across, and upgrading the Blicky with a web shooter. MJ makes it outside and then texts Miles for help. Well, good news, I found Peter. This is a really cool nod to the comics, because back in the original run with the black suit, the symbiote would just take Peter's body for a joyride while he was sleeping, which led to the webhead being tired all the time. He wasn't out here giving people permanent Dane bramage, but, you know, interpretation, adaptation, blah, blah, blah. MJ follows Pete through a gauntlet of hunters and noisy neighbors.
Hey, the hell's going on out there? Please, just don't tell me to shush.
Yeah, you should probably go back inside, lady. The symbiote continues its rampage, and MJ stays in pursuit. The gooey one doesn't feel like talking and swings off into the night. Miles shows up and follows Pete to a random street and fights off more hunters than you can shake a web at.
Way different. It's like he's not even there.
MJ shows up on her bike and tells Miles to seal her and Pete in the tunnel so she can try to talk to him. Well, that was almost an Akira slide. Points for effort, MJ. MJ tries to find Pete, but all we get is shadows on the wall, and it's pretty freaky. The symbiote jumps at MJ and knocks over some power tools and equipment, making some noise, which stuns it long enough for MJ to get close. Back outside, Miles is still fighting hunters and saves a guy from a falling crane. He gets got and passes out as Kraven shows up. He starts shooting the debris out of the way, and panicked, MJ gives Pete a little shock to wake him up.
MJ.
So MJ tries to dip, and after a few close calls, she's able to get away. Pete runs off into the night, and Kraven has an idea to lure Spider-Man to him. The next morning, Pete wakes up on a park bench and checks his phone. People have been blowing him up constantly, and he doesn't really seem to give a shit. After a bit of wall crawling and web swinging, MJ posts her story to the Daily Bugle, and it's not looking good. Pete heads over to Harry's place, and the tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Why don't you pop some more pills and say what you're really feeling?
Hey, don't.
I'm busting my ass out there trying to save you, and this is what I get?
I said don't.
I saw your story.
After storming out, Peter runs into Norman, who looks like hell, and they share a rather sad moment together.
Thank you for being his friend.
You know, I don't usually feel bad for Norman, like, ever, but this got to me. So Harry freaks out and breaks some shit because, you know, he's dying. Pete swings over to Rio's office and she puts a verbal smackdown on him because he fucked up talking to her crazy.
Go help him.
I want it to be on the record. Not even the symbiote can stand up to a mom who's worried about her baby. Kudos to the writing and the performance in this game. It's so good. Pete heads out to find Miles, who's waking up in a cage right about now. Our young hero breaks out and sneaks his way through this compound, punching people and whatnot. He even gets a hint to what happened to Shocker. Miles ends up crashing a party, but it turns out he's the guest of honor.
There's no escape.
I tried.
So it's boss fight time with Mr. Negative, and you can feel how angry Miles is as the two trade blows.
You'll never defeat me! Spider-Man doesn't kill.
You never fought this one.
Things hit a boiling point when Mr. Negative jumps into our young hero's mind and tries to break him. Miles goes through a gauntlet of all of his trauma, and it's heartbreaking to see his guilt and insecurities made manifest like this. Miles pulls himself together and beats Mr. Negative in a beautifully written scene where Miles realizes that he's the one holding himself back.
When you're out, find Spider-Man.
Do not let them escape!
Martin Lee meets Peter on the rooftop across the Feast Center and tells him that Miles is in an old mansion east of the city. Pete heads over to the mansion and starts beating the shit out of everyone with a pulse.
Where?
So Craven locks Peter in a box and taunts him until Spider-Man's had enough and his anger just explodes. So the day of fate is finally upon us. Spider-Man and Craven finally fight, and it's a doozy. Craven is fast and constantly pulling tricks from his sleeves. Well, he doesn't have sleeves, but you know what I mean. In the second phase of the fight, you have to keep the pressure on Craven and make sure they keep this giant bell from ringing. This phase is fast and chaotic, and you can hear the hatred in Peter's voice and the sadistic pleasure in Craven's. At the climax of the fight, Peter gets a leg up on Craven.
What did he say?
Miles shows up and stops Peter from killing him. Now, the fight between Miles and Peter is one of my favorite moments in Spider-Man history now. Not only is it epic in its presentation, but it's emotionally charged, and it touches on the weight of what it is to be a friend, what it is to be lost, and what it means to heal. You can feel his pain and sorrow as Pete fights. You can see his insecurities come out and how the symbiote is using them to fan the flames of his rage. And on the same token, you can tell that Miles is trying to connect and reach out to Pete like any good friend should. But you can feel how frustrated and tired Miles is becoming the more Peter rejects him. And I know this probably sounds silly, but this fight between two spider mutates where one of them is wearing a gooey alien is remarkably human. Life sucks. It's hard to navigate. Every day brings new challenges and new people that we have to take a risk of interacting with. Sometimes it feels like every minute something is demanding all of our attention. It's tiring, you know? It's easy to get overwhelmed with our wants and our needs. It's easy to stretch ourselves thin trying to meet the expectations of everyone and yourself. But that's okay. We're humans. And in the words of a very wise woman, balance is a process. Peter thanks Miles for helping him and heads to Oscorp to destroy the symbiote. I love this moment. When Spider-Man lands on the roof, he walks past the wreckage of his fight with Doc Ock. It's this little reminder that nothing good ever happens at this building. Harry confronts Peter over wanting the suit back, but Pete won't hand it over. And you can feel how fucked this situation is. Peter obviously doesn't want Harry to die, but the symbiote is way too dangerous to let live. And Harry doesn't care. He's dying. Maybe a little jealous. He had a taste of what power was, what it was like to be a hero. Maybe there's a little darkness deep down in there, in his blood somewhere. Maybe there's just a drop of venom.
Sick and tired of bitches acting like they wanna know me. Friendly and the phony tries to check me, it's a warning.
So this is my favorite moment of the game, hands down. It's an amazing surprise, and it hit me right in my nostalgia button for Ultimate Spider-Man on the GameCube. Insomniac nailed the power fantasy for Venom. He is massive, merciless, and a monster in all of the right ways. And the rampage he goes on in Oscorp is magical. It's so much fun to decimate everyone that dares get in your way. My only wish is that Insomniac adds some type of mode or you let me play as him in the free roam because I just gotta play more Venom. He's too much fun. So everyone tries to lock the building down to stop this hulking mass of black gooey muscle and it's not working. Shocker. Hot. One of Kraven's gunship shows up and shoots Venom because he has a death wish. So Venom decides he wants to give the big metal bird a hug.
I'm begging you! Stop! They're going to kill you out there! I can't lose you too!
So Kraven shows up because he really wants to die tonight. And if anyone can do it, it's Venom. This game is fucking crazy, and I am loving every second of it. That was a great way to kill off Kraven. I know I've been cracking jokes and shit, but if I could just be genuine for a moment, Kraven has never been on my list of great Spider-Man villains. And honestly, I was a little worried about him being added in this game from the start. I thought Sony was just shoehorning him into this game for the movie coming out soon. But Insomniac did a great job with their interpretation of the character. And it takes some serious balls to have Venom literally bite his head off. Good shit, Insomniac. I mean it. After the decapitation, Harry goes to his mother's grave to figure out what the hell to do next. Venom starts messing with his head and shows him a vision of how they can do what Harry's always wanted to do.
We're going to heal everyone.
The following morning, Peter wakes up after Venom yeeted him out of the plot for a bit. The wall crawler goes and looks for Harry, but runs into civilians being infected with the symbiote.
Harry? You're not...
He links up with Miles to make some sound grenades to help fight the quickly growing plague of gooey people in the streets.
Now I just need to figure out how to weaponize them. We got a plan for that.
Our heroes track down Venom to a subway tunnel, but the big guy dips immediately. Pete and Miles take out a nest of symbiotes with their new sonic bombs and save Genki and Rio. Thank God. My heart cannot handle anything happening to Rio right now. She is precious and must be protected at all costs. Back over with MJ, she's dealing with JJ's bullshit, and then she gets an unexpected visitor.
Hang on, someone's at the door.
It's kind of hard to explain. Just promise me you'll stay away from him, okay? MJ?
Pete rushes over to make sure MJ is okay, and when he gets there, we can see Harry is on his Kanye arc.
This is the real me.
Pete tries to get through to Harry about the whole black sludge alien thing.
Do not call us a thing.
Harry.
We are not, Harry. We are.
Why would you jump in front of him? And who decided to frame the scene like this? So after Venom gets some head Bobby Sloppy Toppy from Miss Watson, MJ is looking a little different. This is a terrifying and dark situation, but this game is so goddamn dope. They found a way to get Scream in here. This game is the GOAT. I'm sorry, it's the GOAT. Fight me in the comments all you want, but I love this game. So Pete and MJ have a lover's quarrel in the middle of the street, and I'm talking the full package. Yelling, throwing shit, shouting personal business for everyone to hear.
Not my job in this stupid house. For once, it's not about you.
About me! MJ, what do you mean?
You stay out of this. I'm finally in control.
Like, can y'all do this somewhere else? It's kind of awkward. Like, it feels like at any moment she's going to yell out Pete has a baby dick or something. Okay, that was just painful to watch. The fight rages onward, and you can hear all of MJ's insecurities. Like, she doesn't feel what she does matters, and how she feels that she can't escape Pete's 8-legged shadow of Spider-Man. It's heartbreaking, but it's interesting because you can tell that she doesn't feel that way. That's just what she's scared of, and the symbiote is pulling all of this to the surface. MJ is able to free herself from the symbiote with a mixture of willpower and power tools. And if I had to guess, I'd say a 60-40 split, give or take. Pete meets up with Miles and heads towards City Hall, because things are looking a bit apocalyptic, if you ask me. Our heroes fight the good fight, but are quickly overrun.
What are you doing here?
Are you all right?
Spider-Man! He said there was still some of this thing inside him.
So Miles and Lee jump into Peter's mind to try to save him. Once inside, they need to locate the source of Peter's pain. Along the journey, we get a taste of how deep the guilt really goes. Miles and Lee run into manifestations of the Sinister Six, and we get a cool callback to that really cool trailer from Spider-Man 2018. Miles and Lee press onward through a vestige of May's house and feast until they find the source. Lee comes up with a plan to free Pete by dumping all of his power into the symbiote.
Well, if this is my last chance to say anything to you, I won't forgive you. It's just not in me. But I can't carry this hate for you anymore, man. So let's set things right. You and me.
And again, I really want to praise the writing here. I love how real this is. Sometimes you can't forgive yet, but you can move on and heal. And this is just a more mature, nuanced approach to how people work. You know? So Lee has to pump Pete full of his power, phrasing, and Miles has to hold back all the symbiotes to buy him some time. Miles and Lee team up and purge the rest of the hive mind out of Peter, and they find the source of his pain. His guilt.
This is all my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Game of the year. Game of the year. I'm sorry. Game of the year. We got Anti-Venom Spider-Man. Are you fucking kidding me? After Pete kicks all kinds of alien ass after his Super Saiyan moment, Lee leaves a changed man.
When you help someone, you help everyone.
Where are you gonna go?
To set things right. Your way.
Wow. Reforming your greatest enemy. Can't say I've ever done that. Maybe MJ was right. Why would the city need me when it has you?
And the Spider-Men have a heart-to-heart. But no rest for the wicked. Peter heads back to the hidden lab in the sewers and finds Venom doing Venom things.
We are healthy, strong. This is what you wanted, isn't it?
Spidey shows up and then Venom throws Norman like a rag doll and bullies Dr. Connors. When Venom leaves, Connors tells Spider-Man there's only one way to stop Venom now.
By killing the host.
I wonder how things are looking topside. Well, that's about what I expected, honestly. Pete meets up with Miles in his new suit.
That suit's not an alien, is it?
So, about the costume. I'm sure most of you are aware that everyone hates this suit. Like, a lot. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. Me personally, I don't think it's that bad. Is it top tier? Fuck no. But I think it's interesting. I like the colors. I like the energy lines through the suit. I think it's kind of weird that randomly he just has a new costume, but luckily you can switch it out right away. But I'll be honest, I don't think they should keep this as his default suit in the future. Hopefully they can iterate on it and make something really cool. But anyway, So our heroes have another heart-to-heart about May, and Peter doesn't need to blame himself anymore. Miles comes up with a plan to split up. Pete needs to find the meteorite, and Miles needs to take out the symbiote nest. Miles jumps in and starts punching aliens like it's his job, because it kind of is. Once he clears the nest, the hive mind gets a hold of him and tries to take control. Miles gets visions of Haley in danger and the whereabouts of the meteorite. Once he breaks free, he tells Pete what he learned. Pete heads for the nest, and he's in for the fight of his life. On the other hand, Miles is asking out his crush. It's important to get your priorities straight. Pete confronts Venom, and the big gooey guy tries to get Peter on his side, one way or another. Miles shows up and saves Pete, and our heroes make a break for it. Once they're on the outside, they meet up with MJ and come up with a plan to get the rock to save the day. Pete will distract Venom, and Miles and MJ will snag the space MacGuffin stone, head to the particle accelerator, and destroy it. Shouldn't be too hard, right? Well, I've been wrong before. So now MJ has to sneak around this symbiote nest to find the space rock. After she kicks some ass and takes some names, she finds it. Once MJ shoots the rock, she metaphorically and literally kicked the hornet's nest, and now she's got a wham bam boogie out of there. Her and Miles make a quick escape, and I wonder how Pete's doing right about now. Oh, he's hanging in there. The final battle begins, and it's a knockdown drag-out between Venom and Spider-Man. And I'm serious. You know it's a good thing that this fight takes place on a basketball court, because Venom is dunking on the old webhead. And I mean literally. Spidey and Venom trade blows back and forth and let out all their emotions. And again, your heart just breaks, because you know this is just fear and insecurities coming to the surface. And in my opinion, you can hear a little bit of the symbiote's insecurities too.
Do everything you ever wanted, and you threw us away.
I don't know. Tell me what you think. At the end of the fight, Venom gets his hands on Pete and realizes the space rock is gone.
The meteorite. You took it from us.
And have I told you how good I think this game is yet? So MJ and Miles race to the particle accelerator while being chased by a horde of aliens. Once they get to the lab, Venom shows up and yeets Pete. That rhymed. Miles drops the roof on Venom and they get Pete to safety. Venom breaks out, and now it's time for the 17-year-old spider-human hybrid to fight the alien slime monster with dragon wings for the fate of the world. That sentence was crazy. At a certain point, Venom gets his hands on the space rock and knocks MJ and Pete out of the fight. Miles continues the battle, but Venom gets him on the back foot and almost crushes his head with the previously mentioned space rock. Who knew it had so many extra features? MJ passes Miles a sound bomb and he sticks it down Venom's throat. The blast is able to reveal Harry for just a moment, but Venom regains control and flies away. Our heroes chase after the viscous demon, and they continue the battle in the skies over New York.
What's happening? Just hang on, buddy! Please, no. Leave him alone.
The symbiote won't let up, so our heroes have to team up and put their hands on Venom.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up. Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
A lot. Miles breaks away and throws the rock into the accelerator while Pete and Venom still beat the stuffing out of each other outside.
Fight, Harry! Fight! I can't. I'm done. You have to
kill us.
With the clock ticking, Harry is able to wrestle control back long enough for Peter to use his anti-venom powers on him. MJ is able to activate the accelerator. With the meteorite destroyed, the symbiotes fade away and the day is saved. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief, Peter goes to Harry's body and breaks down.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But all hope isn't lost.
Harry.
Peter and Miles get Harry to an ambulance as Norman shows up. He barks at our heroes, which is uncalled for, but I kind of get it. He's just angry and looking for someone to blame. The doctors go on to explain that the chances of Harry ever waking up are slim to none. And with this news, Norman finally snaps and lets out all of his rage.
Get the G serum ready. ASAP.
And that sounds like it's on the highest level of not good. MJ finishes up the first episode of her new podcast while Peter makes the gang some of Aunt May's famous wheat cakes. Peter pulls MJ to the garage and shows her that he's going to continue the Emily May Foundation from his garage. The phone buzzes with a crime report, and Miles and Peter have a heart-to-heart one last time.
I got this. All of it. Go be Peter Parker for a while.
Miles suits up and swings out to save the day as the Amazing Spider-Man. And that's about it. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely adore every part of this game. The performances were spectacular and the gameplay is superior. And the story was ultimate, sensational. It was really fucking good. Everyone at Somniac, thank you for putting all your blood, sweat, and tears into this experience. You guys knocked it out of the park again. And I didn't even cover everything this game has to offer. There's so much that I love. Like, the mystery boyfriend that Rio is dating, that's Silk's dad. No big deal, just, Silk's dad. Cindy Moon, Spider-Man 3, it's crazy. I could go on and on, but I gotta wrap this up. So, I am Fasa the Silver Chimera, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to keep up with me in future uploads, make sure to hit the subscribe button and to hit my bell so you can be notified when I upload. If you want to talk to me, I am always in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts on the Webhead's latest adventure. Tell me what your favorite suit in the game is. If you don't know what to comment, how about balance? That just feels right, Don't forget to check in on your friends and family and tell them you love them. And make sure to love yourself too. Once again, I am Fasa the Silver Chimera, and I will see all of you beautiful people next time.
What are you writing?
The final chapter.